Marketers, if you're responsible for building a marketing team or designing a system to help you create more throughput in your marketing department, this is going to be the video for you. This is for heads of marketing, marketing department leaders, CEOs, but also marketing strategists and consultants. Many of the people who watch this are in that category. So in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I think about designing marketing teams and building infrastructure to allow more work to get done in a more organized way. And so a big part of what I do as a full-time marketing strategy consultant is to help companies create structure. So strategy, structure, and systems are kind of the three S's that I work on. And this is really the structural element. It's really like when a job needs to get done, do we have the right people doing the right jobs in the right areas so that any task that comes along, we can get it done faster, easier, and without having to think about it as much. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to zoom you right into this handy little org structure that I put together. So the very top of the organizational department, if you will, is the CEO, and with that, the head of marketing reporting to them. And so it really, what you want to be thinking, and you can do this yourself. I'm using a tool called Balsamiq. Some people prefer to use tools like Figma, FigJam, or Miro, or any other tool. It doesn't really matter, but this one is using Balsamiq, and I'll show you how to edit it. I really like this tool. It's great for wireframing. And we'll get into that. So at the very top, you've got the CEO, and then you've got the head of marketing. They work very closely together. They should, right? You know, marketing needs to be done in sync with the executive of the organization, the chief executive, if you will, but also with others in the organization. So what we have is the head of marketing. But then we have different channels, right? And so first we'll talk about the ownership of these channels and the different sub things within them. And then we can talk about, well, what are the different skill sets? And so we'll start here. So let's go kind of from left to right and focus on these channels. So we have website. And so I'll go across the top and then we'll talk about the subcategories, and they may differ. This may differ depending on you and your organization. But let me just show you how it works. So we've got website, you've got AI. That's usually everyone on the team is responsible for leveraging AI and making the most use of it, because there's millions of ways you can be more effective and more efficient with it. You've got ads, and the initials here, by the way, are who would be responsible to own that particular channel, as an example. You've got content, which has a bunch of things underneath it. You've got design, and that can have, you know, any kind of visual oriented stuff. You've got analytics, you've got partners, you've got sales integrations. You may have kind of technical or marketing ops or software integrations type thing. And I'm going to edit this as well. And so you can see here that this is how the chart is made in Balsamiq. It's kind of like a bulleted list, but I'm going to add one more, which is offline/events. Okay, and then we can talk about, you know, or offline marketing. And then you might have 1, 2, 3 events. You might have printed materials, etc., billboards. Okay, so that's how easy it is to edit this. It's just based on calling a bulleted thing. And so that's where that category might live. And again, you can customize this. There's probably more channels. This is just an exercise I went through recently, and I just wanted to kind of share the thought process. So within website, right, let's say that, you know, anything website related should land on someone. And let's say that that person is A, and then you can put their initials or the name there. And then at least we know if there's a website related task, that person owns it. They may still delegate it to other people, but at least they own it. And we'll talk about how to delegate it and who should do it, because oftentimes, even if you are responsible for the website, you may need to bring in multiple skill sets and stakeholders, which is what the section below will talk about. And so you have website, you have AI, et cetera, and then underneath those, you may have different subcategories. So in this case, you've got conversion rate optimization, you've got website changes, you've got SEO, right? And so there may be even more stuff to do there. Website maintenance, there could be all kinds of new stuff, new functionality, integrations, so on and so forth. But if it's a website project, it goes to someone, and really you just start to mark out who is the person who's going to be responsible for that. So that could be, you know, TR. Let's say there was someone named, you know, Trent Regner or something. That would be their things, or you could put their first name or whatever you want. And so by doing this, when a project comes up, you ask yourself, well, which channel does this apply to? And if it applies to a website, that person does it. And maybe there's sub projects within it and sub specialties. And maybe even though that person does it, maybe they're not qualified at conversion rate optimization. Maybe you have to bring in an outside freelancer or consultant or agency. And that would you just say this would be the name of that person in that particular sub skill set. Same thing with website changes. You may have a developer who does it, but this person oversees it, and then they report up to the head of marketing. And you do this for everything. And what ends up happening is you realize, you know, this is a kind of a tip that I learned from the book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Definitely would recommend reading and or listening to the audiobook. It's fantastic for entrepreneurs, but also for marketers. And really this is about organizational design. And so what you want to be thinking here is making sure that, in the beginning, it's probably, if you're a small solo independent, in-house marketer, there's really only going to be you doing the job. But if you have, eventually, and, ideally right away, you want to be thinking about, how do I delegate some of this stuff? Because no one's going to be good at everything. Most marketers are T-shaped. We're generalists, and then we're good deeper, in one, maybe two particular areas. And some of us obviously have multiple skills in multiple areas. I don't want to diminish people's skill set, but generally speaking, there's lots that can be delegated and should be delegated. But if you're a small business and don't have a big budget, basically your name is on everything, or certain things just don't exist. You may not have time for conversion rate optimization in a practical sense, or for SEO maybe, or that may not be part of your strategy. You may not be on TikTok, so on and so forth. And so the goal is to assign people to who owns the thing, but then who also then does the sub thing within it. So maybe I'm the head of content for this company, but I don't write the blogs. Maybe that gets delegated to my intern, and the intern does it. So that person is responsible for it. Beside the blog here, I might say this is, TH. I'm just going to pick a random name. And that person is responsible for it. And then you might have video and editing or photography, and you might have email and social. And so you want to do this through the entire organization and start putting names to things. And what ends up happening is you realize that the head of marketing typically has all the jobs. And ideally though, the thing is to decide how far down should that person go? Because the bigger your organization, the more work that needs to be done, the more that person is going to be a surface level across all the different things to bring together people so that everything fits together and rolls up into a cohesive whole, and is going to be able to spend less time working in the minutia, one or two levels deep. And so the bigger you get, the more you need to delegate the second level and then the bottom level responsibilities. And so that's it. So this is really just, how do you design this as an organization? It's going to look different for every company, and you want to be thinking about that all together. And then the second part of this, and then we'll wrap it up, is you also want to have some skill sets. And so in a previous video I talked about, and if I can find it, I'll link it up wherever above my head. But we've talked about the different skill sets. I think of these as crayons in a coloring box. What I mean by that is, if you wanted to draw a picture, if you wanted to do any project, more practically speaking, you'll need certain colors, you'll need certain people to do the job. And so there's the kind of core skills that I've seen are, writing and communications, design and visual, SEO, which might, and GEO, right? Which might be its own thing, or you might blend it into web development, or something else. But SEO and GEO, that's a skill set in and of itself that's as important as ever, especially with the rise of AI, as well as ads, web development, and some kind of technical or integration, no code. This would be your kind of marketing ops type person. And then within that, you might have different sub skills. You might have video and photography, you might have graphic design, you might have various other things, and that could go deeper. But from a big bucket standpoint, most projects require some combination of a web developer, and or a designer, and or an ads person, and or a communicator, or some technical part for conversion tracking and integrations, and having stuff speak to the CRM, et cetera, et cetera. And so these are the skill sets. So you want to make sure you've got the right colors in the crayon box, or every single project is going to be more difficult to manage and to execute. So you want to make sure you have these core skills and people on hand. And then the person responsible, if I'm responsible for the website as an example, and I want to make a change, I have to ask myself, is there a design component here that I need to be improving? And if so, bring in the designer, and it's under that person's guidance and overview. And some of these may be external people, and some of them may be internal people. It really depends on the size of the company. But if you find yourself with your name on every single one of these, then you just have to know that you're only going to get a fraction of them done, and that's got to be fine. And so when you're working with, when you're working with the CEO of the organization, it's really about prioritizing based on the resources you do have, and being okay with not getting everything that could possibly be done. Because the truth is, things take longer, are more difficult, and are more, generally are not as easy as they look when it comes to implementing them. And so this, in a nutshell, helps you design the system, say, look, here's what I'm responsible for, here's who's doing what. So when an idea comes in that gets prioritized, which is what the head of marketing does, among other things, is helping to prioritize the ideas, there's a clear pathway in terms of who does it and how it gets done. So I'll leave it there for now. In another video, I'll talk about other things like process versus projects and how to manage those things. But I just want to kind of share this with you because there's a lot of people looking to build marketing teams, or at least improve the efficiency on how things are done. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe, or leave a comment if you got any value out of this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.